Welcome into this edition of Hand Raised Guys, presented by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. I am Neal McCready in the Clark Ford Studios. Thanks to everyone for their patience over the last few weeks. Summer happens, which is good. It's a good thing that summer happens. We got busy, took some trips. I went to Florida twice, once as a chaperone for my son's trip, once on a family vacation. I went to Louisiana for a wedding, went to Oklahoma City for an NBA Finals game. So I've been traveling. I know it's been a few weeks since we've had this show, but we're back. I'm back. In August, Chase will start joining back in. So a solo version tonight, but Chase will be back soon, and we'll get rolling. Oh, I need to switch screens, don't I? There we go. I don't know if that's better or not. The other screen, you could watch the Summer League game along with me, and that could make 5 of us who watch NBA Summer League here on this day. Yeah, Hayden, I agree. And never apologize for going to 30A. Never. 30A is awesome. I could, yeah. Give me a few $1 billion, and I'll make that happen. This show is brought to you each and every week by our friends at Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Different names, same great people, products, and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern. Already got a call. Hang on. Caller, hang on real quick, and we'll finish this, and then we'll get right to you. Call Southern, 662-429-4429. Those guys are great. If you're having any issues this time of year with your air conditioner, you don't want to wait. If that thing's acting a little balky, if something's wrong, it might be something simple like you just need some more Freon. You just need a little more coolant. Might be something more serious. You need to go find out. So get in touch with people at Comer and Southern. They'll take great care of you. I mentioned I'm in the Clark Ford Studios. Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for my friend Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. Rest totally up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. Again, 662-257-1900. Mention the Campbell Clinic Hotline. You can call in on the Campbell Clinic Hotline. From fractures and sports injuries to complex spine and limb conditions, the pediatric orthopedic physicians at Campbell Clinic in Oxford are the only specialized pediatric orthopedic team in North Mississippi, providing expert care for growing bodies. Visit campbellclinicoxford.com to schedule an appointment or call 901-759-3111. And, of course, all of our podcasts like this are brought to you by Blue Sky. Blue Sky locations all over Mississippi. If you're traveling, I know a lot of people going on vacations this weekend coming up. Make sure as you enter the state, as you leave the state, as you get deep inside the state even, that you stop at a Blue Sky, fill up your car outside. You can go inside and fill up as well. Great beer selection, plate lunches, ribs, so many things to get snacks and things for your family, for yourself, as you enjoy the summer and your summer vacation. So thanks to all of the people who make our shows on MPW Digital possible. And with that, I'll open up the phone lines, and we've got the first caller. Hey, who's this?
Hey, man, it's Marshall. Is this deep inside the Ole Miss spirit?
Hello, Marshall. It is. This is Hand Raised Guys. No, you're getting all of your names confused now.
It's really confusing. I mean, I feel like I've followed your work for 19 years on one site, and I feel like you've suddenly worked for 3 sites in the last 2 weeks. So is it more flattering that, people who have sort of put you down for almost 2 decades immediately wrap themselves in your brand and your name, or is it, confusing and strange and awkward?
Okay, so it's definitely awkward. I knew. So I feel like I can say some of this now. I mean, because I don't know. There's no reason I can't. This process started 15 months ago, Been a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations. The deal with 247 got done in March. I think I was, I was in Nashville for the SEC basketball tournament when I verbally committed. So I committed, but nothing was binding. But I told them I was coming, and they, I think I signed the contract while I was in Milwaukee for the NCAA tournament. So it's been done that long. I didn't know at the time that there was a merger happening between Rivals and On3. I had no clue. And I think that went down in April. And there was an original plan for Chase to go over early because I had a contract with Rivals that went through October 31st. Chase didn't. He didn't have any obligation to stay, and so it made no sense for him to stay. And then when the merger happened, he just went ahead and went over early. And so I knew these months would be awkward. I didn't know that they would be as awkward as they've been. I'll give Billy Embody credit. He's been really nice to me. Shannon, Terry, and the people at On3 have been very, very professional with me. I didn't know that today was going to happen. I think we talked about this on the Tuesday Blue Sky Live where I said I thought they were going to go with Rebel Grove as their brand at On3. That got ridiculed for a better part of 24 hours. And then they went with it. I didn't know that was happening this morning. I was told later. I said 2 days ago, I'll say it again. I think it's a mistake on their part because that brand, you can spin this all you want. And this isn't a criticism. It's just a fact, in my opinion. You can spin all you want that somebody else owned the brand. But rebelgrove.com has only been attached to me and then 9 months later, Chase. When I came to Yahoo, it was rebelsports.net. When Dave Childers left the site, like a year later, we rebranded to rebelgrove.com. We've been consistently that brand since that time. And so actually that was Chase was like maybe it was already rebelgrove.com by the time Chase actually came on because Chase started in May of 2009, if I have my dates right, Marshall.
That sounds right.
So it's been the two of us as rebelgrove.com with, other people have come and gone a little bit, most specifically Jeffrey, but it's mostly been us that whole time. And so I think that brand is associated with us. And we're about to find out. That's the one thing, come August the 1st, we're going to find out about brand versus people and how people view things and whether it's important and all of those things. I don't know. I expect that there will be some rebranding. I know there will be rebranding at 247. Otherwise, we wouldn't be making jokes about the name. We wouldn't ridicule the name and then stick with it, which is an interesting thing because that name's been ridiculed over there for a while, and now they're going with it. I'm not surprised that they did it. I was surprised that they did it today. And the fact that they did it today does make the next 3 weeks more awkward than they were going to be. And I think it makes it difficult. It puts me in a difficult spot because I think it's confusing to the customer now. It's confusing to the consumer to go with rebelgrove.com and I'm there, yet I'm leaving. I think that's a confusing thing for people because not everybody's dialed into this day in and day out. Especially not in the middle of the summer when, Ole Miss doesn't play a football game until August the 30th. They don't have a practice that we're going to be able to cover until sometime around July the 30-ish, I guess. Maybe August 1st, whatever you want to call it. That roughly that 3 or 4 days is when they're going to get started. They'll have 28 practices that you're allowed to have before you play your first game. And the first game's not until August the 30th. There's no basketball game until November the 4th. There's no baseball game until sometime in February. You understand where I'm going. It's kind of, this is the dead time. So it's
100%. If somebody took the same vacation you did, they could have left Rebel Grove, and next time they logged in, it's a different URL, but the same thing with you posting. They might not even know what happened.
Yeah, so that's the awkward part. But look, it is what it is, and these are first world problems, and it's not the end of the world. It's going to be okay. And again, it's there's certainly no personal animus between me and the people that made this decision and the people that run that site, Billy and Shannon and those people. They've been nothing but good to me. I need to reiterate that 1,000 times, but it's interesting. I rambled. What else were you asking? I'm sorry.
No, I mean that's basically it. Imitation's the best form of flattery, I guess. Cool. I mean that's the main thing I wanted to ask. I guess I'm excited to see if you have a hat selection ceremony when you tell us where you're going next, or
Well, I mean, I feel like
jump out of an airplane.
I could jump out of an airplane and unfurl a banner, but I mean, at this point, I think it's important for me to be transparent, even though I think now that they have publicly, including today, said that I'm going to 247. I am absolutely going to 247 on August the 1st. I'll be there that day, and I'm excited about it. It's something I had committed to, like I said, long before the merger, or weeks before the merger. And, Ole Miss was still in it may have been the day before the first game, or it may have been the day between the two games, but it was one of those days. I remember I was at that hotel in Milwaukee where I ultimately signed the document. So it's been that long. So I'm excited about it. I thought for a while it was going to be November the 1st before I could do it, which was concerning and a little worrisome. And everybody makes jokes, self included, about basically being paid to not work for 4 months, but I'm a little young for that. I'm not really ready for that. To say that I'm energized right now is an understatement. So this has probably been overall a pretty good thing for me. I probably needed a jolt of energy, and I got it.
Cool. Well, look, I'm glad you had some time to rest and recover, and I'm excited to see what comes next. I've enjoyed reading for the last, I guess, almost 2 decades, and I'm excited to see what the next 2 bring. So thanks for your time, and have a great night, man.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate you, buddy.
Awesome. Bye.
Appreciate that call. Phone line's open. I've got this. One of these days, I'm going to figure out a little better deal than this iPad, but got it. It works. So, yeah, it's just kind of, it's all good though. I'm more looking forward than I am hanging into getting obsessed with all the other stuff. Super excited about where we're going. All right, hang on, caller. I got to get you to this. Hold on. There you go. Hey, who's this? Hey, caller, you're on.
Hey, Neil, Blake in Little Rock. How you doing?
Hey, Blake, I'm good. How are you?
Hey, Blake in Little Rock. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you great.
Hey, I'm doing great. Hey, I'm an Ole Miss alumni. My wife is an Arkansas alumni. And I know your kids go to Arkansas. Just want to know if there's something about Fayetteville that you love that Arkansas lacks, and vice versa.
Is there something about Fayetteville that what?
I said, is there something about Fayetteville that you love that Oxford lacks, and vice versa?
Oh, I think Fayetteville itself and Oxford are pretty similar. I think those two schools are really similar. It's one of the funny parts about when people when people talk about the rivalry or whatever. To me, the two schools have a whole lot in common. I mean, obviously the difference is, in Fayetteville, you go north and you get into Springdale and then Rogers and then Bentonville, and there's all that Walmart growth and all that stuff that I don't know that well, obviously there's not that in Oxford. Oxford is probably more of a kind of an oasis, if you will. But I think the Ole Miss campus is prettier than the Arkansas campus. And I think both campuses are really pretty. There's areas on both campuses that I think are beautiful. I mean, the square's charming. I think Dixon's charming. I mean, they're both really cool places. I mean, there's multiple campuses in the SEC that in towns in the SEC that I think are really cool, and I think Oxford and Fayetteville are two of the cooler ones. What about you?
For sure. Well,
what about you?
I think Fayetteville, the restaurants up there, just like, have you ever been to Hugo's?
Oh yeah. So that's one of the advantages up there is that because it's so much bigger, you do have more choices.
Yeah.
Like that's if I had a knock on Oxford, and this is it's a small knock. I mean, it's fine, but like, there's not a ton of places to go eat. Not that it matters. I mean, there's plenty, and there's some really good places like Laura and I love St. Leo. I love Funky's. I think Funky's is really cool, especially the renovation that Lee and them did a couple of years ago. I think Funky's is awesome. What's funny is my daughter Campbell, her boyfriend he grew up in Rogers, and he loves Oxford. He comes in. Obviously, they met at Arkansas, and they're both still live in Northwest Arkansas, but I mean, he loves Oxford. He thinks Oxford's so cool. And Campbell grew up here, and she thinks Northwest Arkansas is so cool. Sometimes it's good to get away from home, obviously. When you're 18, 19 years, when you're 18, 19 years old, going to a new place is fun. But, yeah, I mean, I think Brock would tell you that there's a lot of similarities between where he went to school and Oxford.
Gotcha. Great. Well, hey, big fan of the show. Just wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks.
Appreciate you. Thanks. Bye. And I think culturally, the two schools are really similar. They're like a lot of big, right? I mean, there's probably not a lot of cultural differences between Ole Miss and Alabama and LSU. LSU's a little different, but Tennessee. I'm not talking about the fan bases or the states. I'm talking about the actual on-campus culture. There's probably not a hell of a lot of difference. I got a trivia question. Grind, I see you in the stream. Trivia question. Saw this today. I couldn't believe it. In the history of Major League Baseball, there's been one player who played in all 162 games of his team's season and never grounded into a double play in that season. I know someone's going to Google it, and they're going to give me the answer. If you had given me 100 guesses, I don't know that I would have gotten it. Maybe I would have. I would have had to really think hard. 162 games, played all 162 games, did not ground into a double play the whole season. I mean, that's crazy if you think about it. Obviously, and the fact that only one person has done that proves that it's crazy. Phone line is open. Not going to be here super long tonight, probably. Nope, it's not Ryan Sandberg. Not Ryan Sandberg. By the way, Ryan Sandberg agreed to a deal with Netflix. They're going to do a docuseries about his career. I think they're paying him $15 million. Did he play in the SEC? No, I don't think so. I think he was a player that went straight out of high school to play professionally and work his way up into an organization. Not Tony Gwynn, not George Brett. Solid guesses, but no. 162 games, did not ground into a double play the entire season. It's only happened one time. Incredible. When you think about that stat, not Chase Utley. Good solid guesses, though. Solid guesses. No, the player is retired. I'm not giving the decade yet, Ronnie. That's a good clue to ask for, but not yet. Not doing that yet. Gonna see if anybody can come up with this without Try to be disciplined and not Google it. Not still playing. No, not Ken Griffey Jr. Not Ken Griffey Jr. See, it's crazy, isn't it? When you think about this, it's crazy. 162 games. So you figure if you played 162 games, give him 4, not Cal Ripken, give him 4 at-bats on average a game. That's, 900 at-bats? And at no point do you hit a hard ground ball that a major league infield turns. Yes, Hayden is a Hall of Famer. At least I think he is. I'll make sure on that. I'm almost positive. Yes, he is in the Hall of Fame. No, not Frank Robinson. And not Cal Ripken. Hayden was onto it. Hayden Harris wins the big prize here. It's Craig Biggio, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2015. Craig Biggio, I don't remember the year. I want to say it was 1997. That's what I read. Played in 162 games for the Houston Astros and hit at the top of the lineup. So he probably averaged more than 4 at-bats per game. Never grounded into a double play. Not Lou Gehrig. It was Craig Biggio. Incredible stat. The other piece of news that I saw today was the NCAA. This is typical of the NCAA. They had a committee meeting and about expanding the NCAA tournament for as early as this coming NCAA tournament, March of 2026. They have not decided yet. As of this moment, they're staying at 68. They are still contemplating 72 teams, and they're contemplating 76 teams. They still have time later this summer, apparently, to commit to that. So, but they've been unable to reach a decision, which is sort of par for the course for the NCAA. And then, of course, all the big stories today. And I get why fans hate these stories. And I'm not really about to dive into it because I don't have a candle lit. But the other big story today is the NCAA basically slow playing a lot of the NIL Go stuff. They're way behind. They're understaffed. And the ruling that basically came out today was that the collectives themselves, so at Ole Miss, the Grove Collective, can't do a NIL deal with a student athlete that would essentially pass mustard, would get approved. So that's obviously going to get fought. I'll give you an example. Tom Mars. See, I sent the quote to myself, so I still have it. Tom Mars said today, in case you missed it, Tom Mars, by the way, the big attorney, speaking of Arkansas, I think he's Arkansas-based, but he has become maybe the voice of student athletes in the NIL era. He says, in case you missed it, the new College Sports Commission's interpretation of, quote, valid business purpose, end quote, has taken the legal term arbitrary and capricious to a level previously unknown to mankind. That's quite an accomplishment for an entity that's only 4 days old. That's obviously going to get challenged. I still, and I've said this all along, I don't know how an entity can go forward, take an NIL deal that's been approved between an entity and a player and say, no, that's not market value, or that's not legitimate. I don't see how but if that's the case, and if that holds, capital I, capital F, italicized, underlined, if that's the case, and that holds, we are in for one hell of a market correction. It is going to be chaos with agents, players. There's going to be so much anger and frustration because there's not enough business entities around to, in my opinion, at most of these places, almost all places, that are going to do true NIL deals with players that get through NIL Go, and the money actually makes it into the players' hands. And the players, as Chase said the other day, as Tyler said, they're right. Both of those guys are right. The players don't want, and this isn't it sounds lazy, but they don't really want to do a lot of work outside of their sport. And if you think about it, and I've talked about this before, in football season, these guys, once the season gets here, these guys don't have a lot of time. From the first day of preseason camp until the last game of the regular season, these guys don't have much time. They have practice. They have, at least in some cases, academic requirements. They've got meetings, weightlifting, recovery, they've got to get treatment. By 2-3 weeks into a season, everybody's got some sort of an injury that has to be maintained, whether it's a knee or an ankle or a foot or a shoulder or an elbow or a hand. They've got rehab that they have to do. They have all these things, not to mention just practice and games and all of that stuff. They don't have a lot of time. They don't want to give that time up to do more things. What they want is salary. They want to get paid. So that's the big story. You're going to hear every SEC coach asked about that next week in Atlanta. It's frustrating to fans. I totally get it. I'm sick of it. I mean, eventually the season will roll around and we'll talk about games. But, man, this next week I know people are going to lose their minds because what they want is for everyone to turn their attention to football. And all these coaches are going to be in one place, and they're going to talk about this. Prepare yourself. It's going to start with Sankey on Monday, and it's going to go all the way through. Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss contingent go through on Monday. Lane has proven to be outspoken about this topic. He's going to get asked about it repeatedly on Monday. So if that's the kind of thing that's going to frustrate you, as Will says, he says, I'm about to go get a beer. Yeah, I get it. Grind says, have the Cubs sucked you all the way in yet? No, did he? No, not all the way. I mean, I've watched them some since the NBA Finals ended on the 22nd. I've probably watched them more in the subsequent 3 weeks than I had when the playoffs were going on and the season had started. They're fun. Pete Crow Armstrong's a ton of fun. Find the Pete Crow Armstrong stat, Grind, because I know you like trivia. Pete Crow Armstrong. Let's see if this pulls up today. Hold on one second. Get you right here. Hey, caller, I'm going to get right to you. Hang tight real quick. Pete Crow Armstrong today became the third player in Major League history to have 25 home runs and 25 stolen bases before the All-Star break. Caller, you want to try to guess who the other two are?
No clue.
No clue. All right, we'll take guesses in the stream. What's up, caller? Who's this?
Hey, Steve from Greenville. How you doing?
Hey, Steve. I'm good. How are you?
All right. Hey, I was just wondering if you saw Nolan Ryan on X complain that he never won a Cy Young.
No, I haven't seen him do that. His problem as a major leaguer, if I remember right, was that he pitched so much that that was back in an era when they were really obsessed with wins and losses, and he had a lot of losses.
Right. His arguably his best year was 73, the first year of the designated hitter, and he threw in the American League. He threw 2 no-hitters, which, granted, he was the fourth person to ever do, but the guy before him threw 2 that did it, went 5-19 on the season. So, you know, as I told him on X, you didn't deserve it. So,
yeah, Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, he had 21.
He broke into the major leagues in 1966. He started full time in the major leagues in 1968 with the New York Mets. I'm trying to find where the stats. Give me stats. Why are you giving me Nolan Ryan offense stats? Who cares? Good God. All right, let's go here. Good grief. All right, 1968. He went 6-9 with a 3.09. He won 19 games with the Angels in 1972. He went 19-16 with the 2.28. I mean, that is throwing a ton of innings. He went 21-16 the next year for the Angels, 1973. He went 22-16 with the Angels in 1974. He won 19 games with the Angels in 1977. He won 16 games for Houston in 1982. I mean, his stats were very steady, but he doesn't have that, other than kind of those 3 seasons in California in 1974, 75, 76, he doesn't have just eye-popping Cy Young type stats. What his career over time tells you is that this guy pitched, I'm trying to find innings pitched. He pitched, this is incredible, 27 seasons, 5,386 innings pitched. He won 324 games, lost 292, had a 3.19 ERA. That's incredible over 27 years. He walked 2,795 hitters and struck out 5,714. That guy didn't blow his elbow out till the last game of his career. It's incredible.
Well, as incredible as that is, I'm going to point out he pitched early in his career in the American League, which was not known for its offense, thus the reason for the designated hitter. I mean, it was a pitcher's league. They had 21 pitchers in 73 that won 20 games or more. It
was just a different era. I mean,
so he had a little bit of an advantage there.
Yeah, to me, his career is known for the strikeouts and the longevity and the availability. I mean, his ability just for team after team after team just to eat innings year after year after year is what made him valuable. But there probably weren't many years where, obviously there weren't many years where he was statistically the best pitcher in his league. You know what I mean? I mean, over time, he was dominant. Right. Yeah, over time, he put up incredible numbers.
He had a Cy Young career.
Yeah, he had a Hall of Fame career. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, Ronnie points out.
I'll give you one more. I'll give you one more statistic that'll blow your mind.
Okay.
When Babe Ruth, change the subject a little bit here. When Babe Ruth hit 59 home runs, there were 2 teams in Major League Baseball that didn't have 59 home runs combined: the Reds and the Browns. There was only 3 teams in 155. When Babe Ruth hit 59 home runs, set the record with 59, there were 2 teams in Major League Baseball that didn't have 59 home runs combined.
Wow.
The Reds and the Browns.
Wow.
It was a 155-game season, and only 3 teams in Major League Baseball had 100 home runs or more on the season.
That's incredible.
In fact, it was so uncommon to hit home runs at the time that it was not uncommon for when it happened for them to have to stop play while people threw coins onto the field.
Is that right?
And the guy who hit the home run, I forget the guy's name. He was the first person to hit 4 home runs first person to hit 3 home runs in a game, and they stopped the game for 15 minutes so he could walk around the field and pick up the change people had thrown into the field for him.
That's probably big money back then, because those guys weren't making tons of money back in the early days.
Yeah, I got have you read A Game of Inches?
Which one is that Jeff Passan?
I believe so, yes.
I think I have, yes.
All right. Check. check out the podcast, Indy Nidell's Baseball. He's an Astros fan, and his co-host is a guy from Sweden, and they talk about the history of baseball.
Okay.
It's absolutely fascinating. He has a great segment, and I'll end with this. When the Cubs played the Browns, who later became the Cardinals, for the first time, the guest of honor at the game was Sherman.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And the vice president of the United States was in town that weekend. He did not go to the game, by the way. And the Cardinals were staying at the hotel the night before the game where the vice president was. And this crowd starts marching towards the hotel. The vice president, assuming the crowd was for him, gets up and starts giving a speech. You know, only in the West would they know the importance of the vice president. And people in the crowd start yelling for him to shut up. And he asked them, what's going on here? And I forget the Cardinal or the Browns pitcher was. And they said, we're here to see him, not you.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah. And lastly, here's a little fun fact for you. I'll end with this. The Cardinals baseball stadium is built on top of an American Revolutionary War site.
The current Cardinal baseball
the Battle
stadium?
Of St. Louis. Yep. It is the Battle of St. Louis was fought exactly where the stadium is.
I had no idea. That's incredible.
Yep. End with that. Check out the Indy Nidell baseball podcast. It's absolutely fascinating.
Okay, I will. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it very much, Steve.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right, so my question was about Pete Crow Armstrong, who hit 2 home runs today for the Cubs, his 24th and 25th of the season. He is one of 3 players in Major League Baseball, the history of Major League Baseball, to have 25 home runs and 25 stolen bases before the All-Star break. I was talking to Steve, so I was watching, but I don't think that anyone has guessed yet. Hayden, I think you got one of them on a technicality, but if we were playing Jeopardy, I would ask you to be more specific when you say Bonds. Definitely not Bob Uecker. Definitely not Bob Uecker. No. Not Shohei Ohtani. Not Ellie De La Cruz, who I agree with you, Grind, is awesome. Ellie De La Cruz is so much fun to watch. One of the most fun players to watch in all of, frankly, sports. Not Jose Canseco, not Shohei Ohtani. Both players are, other than Armstrong, are no longer playing. They're older guys. One's from my era. And one's a little older. Those are your hints. I think you guys got it. It is Bobby Bonds. Nick Blakely gets it. I'm gonna give Hayden a half point, and I'm gonna give Nick a full point. It's Bobby Bonds and Eric Davis. Bobby Bonds did it in 1973. Eric Davis, part of the Big Red Machine, he did it in 1987. So how about that? It's incredible. Hang on, caller. I'm getting to you. Hey, caller, who do we have? Hey, caller.
Hey, Ben in Tupelo.
Hey, Ben, what's up, man?
I got a question for you, Neal.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Not much, man. I'm approaching 70 degrees first time since July 2nd in my house. I went through what you preach on all the time.
Oh, man.
Condenser coil went out and they had to order it. And so, yeah, kind of sucked. But
dude,
it feels great now.
I bet it does.
And yeah. I work from home too, like you.
I mean,
I got a question for you.
The cat who invented air conditioning. I mean, we talk about like the great heroes of the world. Listen, the cat that invented AC, that dude, we don't, I mean, we have a lot of days in our country. You know, we have President's Day and we've got Columbus Day and we've got all these, that dude needs a day. I'm just telling you, the guy that invented air conditioning, that guy deserves his own day. That needs to be a holiday. There's got to be a way to do that. That might become my cause. Anyway, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, I got a question, and I want you to answer. It's not just a joke. I just want to see what your answer is. Once your promo goes live, August 1st, how bad do you expect to crush Chase's promo numbers?
I hadn't thought about that. No, I haven't. He had really big numbers.
I know he had a pretty record breaking.
Yeah, he had a big. He put up.
You're gonna beat him though.
He put up a big number. I mean, if I beat him,
how confident are you that you're going?
I don't know. I don't know. If I beat him, both of us are going to be really, really happy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gotten a hell of a head start on that number. I don't know. That's a great one. I'd not thought about that at all.
I can't believe I hadn't discussed that.
No, we
just the competition of it.
No, we never. I mean, he may have thought about it. I'd not even thought about it, but we have not discussed it. No, we have some. Well, 247 has given us some projections. I know that we were way ahead of those projections after like the first 10 days that Chase went over on May the 20th.
Well, I may have a chance to finally join you guys. You never seen me on your site, and there's a reason behind it. I started coming around in 02, 03, somewhere around there when it was, I guess, rebelsports.net.
Yep.
And do you remember back then when that Oklahoma site had all the FARC threads that were like photoshops after the football game on Saturday? They'd just have them lined up, and they'd be hilarious. You don't remember that?
No, I really don't.
Anyway, that was obviously a long time ago. Around 06 or 07, I was in my 20s. They ran a promo, and I finally decided to subscribe. And it was a 3-month at the first football season kind of deal, and so I signed up for it. And then I noticed on my credit card bill they charged me like $100. So I called, and they're like, here's a form, fill this out and send it in. And I did that, and they denied me. So I was like, wow, you know, a potential customer for like, you know, decades, and you're going to deny me when I thought I picked the right thing. I'm 100% sure I picked the 3-month deal because that money was tight and I was watching it. But so I knew it evolved into your site, and so I had it for that year. And after that year, I never went back. But so I have a chance to join now. Only problem is now there's so much social media that wasn't around 19 years ago.
Yeah.
That it's, you know, it's hard to find time with the computers and stuff.
Well, it's the challenge for what we do, and I think it's one of the reasons that I think we had success is that I think we did feel so weird. It's just, it's going to feel weird for me for a long time to talk about rebelgrove.com in the past tense because it was such a huge part of my world for 2 decades basically. But
yeah, I think Grant Gannon was the guy running it then when I had my little miss out.
Yeah. You know, but what I was going to say was, you know, I think, and this is what we're going to do at 247 too, is, I mean, we're going to focus. It's why the brand and stuff, ultimately at the end of the day, I'm not sure that it really matters. It's about people. It's about the different type of content. It's about community. Mm-hmm. It's about having some fun. It's about being silly at times, being serious at times. I think what we tried to do with the site and obviously with the podcast network also, but with the site was to have a site that was sort of more balanced and more reflective on like what people are really like. I mean, it's why I've had this conversation so many times with people in the past when they're like, don't you want Ole Miss to win? And my answer to that is kind of complex. It's, look, if the football gods come down and say, hey, Ole Miss is playing today, they can win or lose, it's up to you. I'll go, okay, let them win. But if I go further than that in my mind, then I'm messing with the way that we do things, which is we don't have any. The truth is the football gods are never going to come down and ask us, hey, Ole Miss plays Tennessee today. You guys get to pick the outcome. That's not going to happen. So we're going to go cover a game. We don't have any ability to affect the outcome of that game. Whether Ole Miss beats Tennessee, loses to Tennessee, blows out Tennessee, gets blown out by Tennessee, we don't have any control over that. And so over 18 years, we've covered, especially here lately, some really good seasons, right? Where Ole Miss went 11-2 and 10-3, and we've covered the Sugar Bowl, I guess, twice now, and we've covered obviously bad teams. We've covered mid teams that were just painfully mediocre. We've covered good teams that faded late. There was a Hugh Freeze team that had the injuries late that they kind of faded late. There was the Kiffin team in 2022 that faded late. We've covered an NCAA scandal. We've covered a COVID year. We've covered a lot of different things, and I think our strength, what made us good, was that we sort of didn't let that stuff impact the way that we approached the day-to-day on the site and the podcast and all that. We were focused more on just doing a good job and making it entertaining and trying to make it fun and different and not being completely hostage to the kind of the day-to-day minutia.
Fan model.
Yeah. And there's, and there is, there is a fan model that's out there that a lot of sites do, not just, that it's just kind of a, hey, everyone's awesome, everything's awesome, everyone else is out to get us. It's us against the world. And I just think it's disingenuous. And so we never did it, and we haven't done it, and we won't do it. So I think I sometimes think with some people that's confusing because a lot of fan sites are all built around, hey, our team's got to win, and if it doesn't win, it's because the ref screwed them, and that's silly. There's no conspiracy out there against a certain team. So, is it best for us? Is it, it's funny, and I'm rambling on this answer, I know, but people will say, isn't it best for you that Ole Miss wins? And my answer to that is, yeah, it is. No question. Like, you saw that in March. Ole Miss went on they won an NCAA tournament game. I mean, they won a SEC tournament game against Arkansas. It was a great game on that Thursday, and then turned around and gave Auburn hell on that Friday in the SEC quarterfinals. They go to Milwaukee and win twice. Mm-hmm. There was so much excitement. Yeah. Did we benefit from that? Absolutely. Yes. When Ole Miss won the national championship in baseball, did we benefit from that? Absolutely. But I think the proof that we were doing things the right way was a couple of our biggest growth spurts came in 2011 when Ole Miss went 2-10, and during the NCAA stuff when we said, hey, it's going to be bad. We told people up front a long time before it came down, this is going, and people got mad at us because no one likes that message. I get it. But we told people, hey, it's going to be bad. They're going to get hit hard. We didn't say they should get hit hard. We just said they're going to get hit hard. And then, of course, the Kiffin thing in 2019 that we all joke about and stuff like that. But the truth is we were pretty far ahead of the curve on Kiffin, to the point that the day that Ole Miss took the interim tag off of Matt Luke, which was on a Sunday afternoon, I published 10 thoughts about an hour before that said Ole Miss should just hire Lane Kiffin. I mean, I wrote that was the lead to 10 weekend. That was the lead to 10 weekend thoughts, which was, probably not the most popular thing that one could write in that space in that moment, but it's what we did. And
right, yeah.
And so that's just kind of what we've done. And look, Chase, that the time, literally the days leading up to when did Ole Miss win the national title? 2022, 2023?
Yep.
22, the days leading up to that selection Monday. I mean, Chase was putting in an incredible amount of work about Mike Bianco being replaced. I mean, we were ready for that when that day in Fayetteville that everybody got upset about the broadcast when Arkansas kind of blew out Ole Miss in the first. Yeah, I spent that day and the subsequent days in a hotel room in Fayetteville banging out content because we believed, based on sourcing, and I think Lane Kiffin has basically confirmed this over time, that he was going to go. We just have always tried to cover things objectively, respectfully, and all of those things. And I'm not saying nobody else does that. Other people do it also, but I think we've been pretty consistent with that's our brand, and it's worked.
Well, I get all my information from you guys, and I'm obviously enjoyed your video content for probably a decade or more. And I'm sure I would have enjoyed the website too. I did. I have read a couple of your free stories or whatever you tweeted out and stuff, and Chase too. So, I had a little bad situation and I said I wasn't going to join, so I didn't. But now I got the opportunity again, and I look forward to it.
Well, we look forward to it too. We'll be honored to have you, and I'm sure there will be. I don't know exactly what it will be at this point. Probably having some of these conversations here soon with some people there, but I'm sure there will be a promo coming, and so hopefully a lot of people take advantage of that and give us a shot.
And I did enjoy the site then when I was a part of it and subscribing even beforehand. So I didn't want to I'm not talking bad about things, but I don't mean to talk bad about that. I'm just telling you that's that was what happened with me and why you hadn't seen me there. So I'm gonna get out of here.
Appreciate the call. Thank you very much. Neal. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, bye.
I apologize for the iPad dinging and dinging and dinging. It's on, and I don't know how to turn some of it off, but the family text was going off with pictures of stuff. This is about the time of day that our family text gets busy. So I apologize. Hey, caller, who's this? Hey, caller, you're on.
What's up, Neal? It's Tupelo.
Hey, Tupelo, what's up, man?
Not a whole lot. Glad the show's back. I know you've had a lot going on, but first time we've had it since the championship, so I just want to say congratulations on the Thunder winning the whole thing.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. Game 2 in Oklahoma City was one of the most fun sporting event, maybe the most fun sporting event I've ever attended.
No, I mean, there's no way that I would be shocked if there was any other answer. I mean, to me, football sporting events are hard because there's so many people, and to me, it's too big of a crowd. I'd rather be at a hockey game or basketball game or something like that, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I will say this, and I've said this before to people. I watch football games for the most part in a press box, and so you have a completely different mindset. I will tell you that last year, when I got onto the field with about 6 minutes left, I think, in Ole Miss's win over Georgia, I looked around in the crowd and I was like, man, this would have been a fun game because it was kind of rainy a little bit and that stadium was drunk, but it was the right kind of drunk. Yeah. It was the right kind of drunk. It was fun drunk. Like I've been in Tiger Stadium at night sometimes where it was violent drunk. I've been in Bryant-Denny hell, bought Hemingway a couple of times late when it was like, oh, this place is kind of up for grabs a little. That was that felt like a big party that day. And I was like, man, if you were a fan and you were at this game, that would have been really fun. It's so sterile in the press box. It's hard to explain to people that it's just so completely different than what you have when you're out in the crowd. But that night in Oklahoma City was a lot of fun because we were kind of in the end zone of the lower bowl, right across from where the Thunder bench was, and the group of people we were around. It was really cool. It was just a neat energy to it that it's hard to describe.
Yeah, you don't mean to tell me you didn't feel any emotion when what's his face pounded his fist on the table in the Egg Bowl that year?
I don't even know what you're. Yeah. No, Chase and I have talked about that before because that night, that was 2011, and I mean there was no doubt at all that night who was going to win that game. Zero. No. I mean, anybody with the pulse knew Mississippi State was going to win, and it wasn't going to be close. I mean, and all of a sudden there's this.
State could have lined up in the I formation and ran the ball every single play.
Yeah.
And they would have scored one more point than Ole Miss that night.
At least, yeah. I mean, so all of a sudden there's this pounding, and you're like, wait, what? What did you expect? I mean, I wasn't even. We weren't even like our whole focus was about just, hey, let's write about the end of this. Let's put it in some context. Let's write about because I think by then we kind of knew it was going to be Freeze. Let's write about, let's our whole coverage plan was about moving forward. And there was no part of either of us sitting there in the press box that went into that game going, okay, well, what's our plan if Ole Miss wins? Like usually we'll have like a little conversation. We'll have a conversation kind of at some point, either early in the week or we'll do it certainly by the time the game kicks off. Hey, like what's our, like if Ole Miss plays LSU, right? In a game where, a game where you realistically know it could go either way. It's like, okay, well, what's kind of our coverage plan if Ole Miss wins? What's kind of our coverage plans if Ole Miss loses? Let's kind of have a feel for where we're going with this. And, during the game, hey, usually I'm the one that writes a column. We'll usually Chase at some point will be like, hey, what's kind of where's your column steering? And I'll send him like a couple of paragraphs that I have. On that day, we never had that conversation. I mean, it was just about, we had a plan. We knew what the game was going to go. It's exactly where the game went. We did it and got out of there. But yeah, in that moment, it was so funny to hear the pounding on the tables. Like, dude, I don't know why you're frustrated. This was so predictable.
Yeah. So normally on my dad's side of the family, we used to, when my dad's dad was alive and all his brothers and sisters, our family reunion was that Saturday after Thanksgiving, which typically held the Egg Bowl until recent years or whatever, you know what I mean? Well, I remember us watching the game that night, and with just being from Mississippi, it was a divided family. And I had a cousin that was like furious that we were losing. And I'm thinking the whole time, I'm like, guys, there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to leave this party tonight with all my state cousins just hounding me about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you expected. I mean,
yeah.
My favorite football games to go to are the ones where I 100% expect to win and I 100% expect to lose. Like, I've been to many Ole Miss games where I was just having a good time and knew 100% we're not winning the game.
In some ways,
the
pressure's off.
I remember one game, though. I've only been to one game where I expected 100% that we were going to win the game, and we did not win the game. And that game happened this past September.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have guessed Jacksonville State.
No, so I didn't go to that game. I didn't go to that game. But the game that I went to, I walked into the Kentucky, to that stadium that day, and I thought, all right, hopefully we can leave by the end of the third quarter.
Yep.
And so I do want to talk about football anyway, and then I'm going to hop off pretty quick. But
hey, can I pull a Joe Rogan? Hey, Tupelo, can you hang real quick? Can I pull a Joe Rogan on you and take a potty break?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna pull a Joe Rogan on everybody. Hang tight.
Do I get paid? Do I get paid for this 45-second bit or no?
We can work something out, Tupelo.
I'm just kidding. But anyway, so I walked into that stadium that day thinking we were going to win. We lost.
Tupelo, hang tight. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, guys. Everybody in the chat, just super chat. You can hear me. Just super chat it up, and I'll make Neal give me all the proceeds. Grind, can y'all still hear me?
All right, Tupelo, I apologize, buddy. Sorry.
No, that's no problem.
Okay,
no problem. You got to relieve yourself every now and then.
It's never happened to me on this show before, but I began to realize that, you know what, I'm not going to make it. It's one of those things. I kept thinking, if Joe Rogan can do it, I can do it. So I guess we'll find out.
Well, so here's the thing. I didn't quite understand you, so I thought I was muted, so I didn't say anything. So that was bad by me. But next time I'll be prepared.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I want to talk about football. I remember walking into that stadium thinking we were going to leave by the end of the third quarter, and obviously we were sweating out to the fourth quarter. But I think there's a lot of ways to look at last year's team. One, I do think if they would have made the playoffs and if they would have ended up going anywhere other than Ohio State, or Penn State, I firmly believe that they would have at least made the second round, and you could have convinced me they'd have made the semifinals.
I'll go further. I think they could have won the whole thing.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. I mean, you've said it before, and so has Chase. But this year, we will realize how good that defense was. I mean, that defense was. We lost 3 games, and 3 games were not determined because of our defense. I mean, that's just.
Yeah,
line, but,
I mean, that's the one thing. Like, so it's funny. Chase and I were having this conversation just today, where it's kind of like you're starting to think about, different things we're going to do in August and coverage and stuff, and like all of the betting sites seem to be pretty consistent with the win-loss total at 8.5, and the over/under on that. And he goes, which way are you leaning? Because I think 8.5 is the right number. I think they've nailed it. Obviously, that's why they've all stuck with it. I think that's the right number, which means that you kind of think your 2 most likely options are 9-3 or 8-4. I mean, that's logic.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they won't win 12 games, but I'm saying logically, if you look at the consistency of that win-loss total, that's where your 2 most. If you were guessing on a standardized test, the 2 best guesses would be 9-3 or 8-4. And so he was like, which way are you leaning? And I was like, I don't know. The one thing that just kind of lends me pause, and maybe it'll end up being this incredible story we write about, hey, Pete Golding replaced all those guys and they're even better. But the one thing that kind of lends me pause is, man, that was a bunch of really good defensive players that are gone that you got to replace all at once. And it feels like a lot.
I mean, it's different, and it is different, and I'm not saying it's the same. There was a big difference in the Ole Miss defense in 2015 and 2016. And that 2015 defense had a lot of NFL guys on it, and it's different. I understand that, and Lane's a way better coach than you. But yeah. I kind of go into this season thinking this season Lane kind of had the opportunity to reset the floor at Ole Miss like this year. I mean, because I know that you'll have rebuilding years, and this is no doubt a rebuilding year. And so if he can pull off a 9-4, I don't think it's that. I know the variables are so much different in this current landscape, but with a little bit more stability, with money coming in and stuff, I think it's possible to convince yourself that, however this outcome of this kind of maybe not sets the floor, but it gives you a realistic expectation moving forward. Okay, during an Ole Miss rebuilding year, you should expect no worse than 8-4 if they go 8-5 or whatever this year. Do you think that's fair or what?
Yeah, I think that's more than fair. I mean, I know some people push back on this. I don't think 8-4 would be some just disaster of a season. I think I lean 9-3. But I mean, it's so hard too, because like even the teams that you chalk up as like W's, right? Like, do we really know how good Kentucky is or isn't going to be? They replace so many people. You don't really know what Arkansas is or isn't going to be. I mean, they do return a quarterback and they have some people, but they had a lot of transfer portal people. I don't know what that's going to look like. I think LSU is going to be really good. I do. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I do. I think LSU is going to be a really good team. I think at Georgia, obviously, is an incredibly difficult obstacle to get over for Ole Miss or anyone else. I think at Oklahoma is a tough spot for Ole Miss. Doable, certainly. And then, the 2 home games in November against South Carolina and Florida, I think I have the right order on that. Like, as of today, July the 10th, those look like, challenges. Not that you can't win them, but challenges. Yep. And then what we don't know, and the part that obviously you can't predict is, by the time you get to the middle of October, how healthy are you? Are you playing with momentum? What is your chemistry like? Because like someone in the thread, let me see. I want to give credit to the right person.
Well, I'll say this really quick while you're looking for that. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it is true that when Lane Kiffin's team so far at Ole Miss, when they get out of the playoff picture or the conference championship picture, the production slacks off just a tad bit.
Yeah,
and I think if you take a third loss at Oklahoma, you can convince me they lose either the Florida or the South Carolina game.
Well, I think that's a credit to Lane. I really believe that. I think Lane has gotten this program to a place where the expectation is to make the playoffs. Now, that's hard to do, but the expectation, the barometer for success is making the playoff. And if it becomes obvious that you're not making the playoff, well then it's going to be a challenge. Now this is going to be applicable at a lot of places. I think you saw this at different places last year around the country. Once you're kind of out of that picture, it's hard.
Even when LSU got their third loss, I mean, they turned into a completely different football team. I mean, had we played LSU in November, we probably win. And had we played Florida in October, we probably win.
Absolutely.
But none of that matters, though. I mean, none of that matters. And so I look at last season as an opportunity for Lane to say, okay, it's possible to get a national championship team in Oxford, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't just depend on doing it once every 5 years. Because you see, like Alabama and Georgia in the previous years and decades, they would have a team that didn't make it as far as they probably thought they should, just like every team. And it just so happened that the 1 year we've had a legitimate chance, it just so happened that 1 year it didn't work out. I mean, it just happens.
Jam Gilza is who posted this on the stream. He said Ole Miss lost not only great players but leaders, and that's, I mean, that's one of those intangibles that I don't know that anybody ever really talks about enough or thinks about enough, and that's, man, that team had there was undisputed leadership at quarterback, and that team had some absolute phenomenal people on defense. Like, it didn't get talked about enough, probably because none of us just did a good enough job with it. But Jared Ivey is like a tremendous leader. JJ Pegues is a tremendous leader. Chris Paul played that whole season with this kind of chip on his shoulder. You know,
I mean,
Trey Washington.
through,
Trey Washington played. I don't even. I'd love to know the snap total for how many snaps Trey Washington played at Ole Miss. I mean, he wasn't an elite player, but he was a leader, and everybody respected him. And I'm not saying guys can't step up and do that, because they certainly can. Someone will fill all of those spots, and leadership will emerge. But like, how quickly does that happen? You know, those are the questions that nobody can answer. Those questions right now, and those are in a season where you're going to play games like, you know, at Oklahoma and at home against South Carolina, at home against Florida. Those are on July the 10th. It's almost impossible really to truly predict those games, because you don't know what the team is going to look like at that point. How are they going to develop? What's their culture going to be like? What's their chemistry going to be like? Are they going to be healthy? Are they going? And then there's the football stuff. Are they going to be able to run block better this year than they did last year, when frankly they did not run block very well? Are they going to get production out of the running back room this year that they did not get a year ago? And they didn't. You know, they have some really talented receivers, but you have to replace, you know, guys like Jordan Watkins and Trey Harris and Juice Wells and Caden Prieskorn. And I think they're going to be able to do that, but someone's got to emerge as that guy who's kind of this year's Jordan Watkins, who just, by God, makes plays. You know what I mean? You got to have that guy who shows up, and it can't just be Caden Lee. It's got to be other people too. And then defensively, you know, that's just a lot. That's a lot of production to replace, and you got to do it pretty quickly in today's college football. So I think Ole Miss is one of the interesting teams. You know, I think the media is going to pick them somewhere between 5th and 7th in the SEC, and I think that's about right.
Yeah. Hey, I'll leave you with one statement and 2 questions. The statement, since last talking to you, found out my wife and I are pregnant with our second baby.
Oh, so congratulations.
And we found out today that it's a boy, so this will be our first boy. Our first one was a girl, so yeah. I'm very excited.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, you should be. That's awesome.
You.
Congrats to both of you.
Hey, and I was gonna ask you 2 questions. Well, I don't know, maybe. Hey, what question has annoyed you more in the last 12 months? The first one is, why isn't Bentley playing? And the second one, what's going to happen with the podcast? And I'll leave you with that. Neal. I just want to say, go Cardinals. This team is so confusing. I don't know what to expect any night, but I do predict that they will make the last wild card spot. And I also predict that the Chicago Cubs will make the World Series.
Oh, wow.
But with that, I'll leave you. Have a good night. Go Cardinals.
Thank you. Yeah, if the Cubs make the World Series, they made one hell of a addition at the trade deadline, because I don't know that they have enough pitching right now to make that kind of a playoff run. Which question annoyed me the most? So the Bentley question kind of drove me crazy, a little bit, if I'm being completely honest. Not because people kept asking about it, but because people got mad that we weren't, quote, asking about it, even though we were asking about it. And my response to the Bentley thing after a while was, look, we're asking Lane Kiffin why Ulysses Bentley isn't playing. He's giving an answer. You guys don't like the answer, and so you're attacking us for the answer, when in reality, I mean, that's what the man says. And so that was the part that frustrated me. The podcast part, I get how it's confusing. And frankly, people's confusion about the podcast, I always sort of take as a compliment, that they view the podcast as part of the website, because it tells me that we've integrated it in a way that was organic and seamless and made sense. Does that make sense? Hey, Grind, what's up, man?
What's up, man? Man, as a fan, the Ulysses Bentley stuff was, I mean, as a fan, like, neck, head explode. I'm sorry. I know, like, I understand what you're saying. There's only so much from the media that you guys can do. But dog, that situation made no sense last.
I mean, it didn't.
Like,
but
that's what as fans, people were just saying like, okay, look, he was taking off and running like it was. I mean,
but I got to a point where
you don't want to go down that road.
I know. I got to a point where I was like, "What do you want me to do? Say, Lane, you're lying?" I mean, I'm not at practice. I'm not in meetings. At some point, you ask him, "Hey." You know, I remember he had the run against LSU, and I asked him. Kind of caught the running backs coach Kevin Smith on camera with Lane clearly saying something to Kevin Smith, and I asked Lane, "What did you say? You know, what was that about?" And Lane laughed it off like, "No, we just a little trash talk, whatever. We were just excited, whatever." And I mean, what am I supposed?
But why was it trash talk?
But my point was,
so you're trash talking to the.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, I guess I could have followed up and said, "What specifically did you say?" He wasn't going to answer that, but my point was at some point, you know, he's the guy.
You have to just accept what it is.
You have to accept. You don't have to like. Yeah. All I can do as a reporter.
You don't have to like it. Yeah.
All I can do as a reporter is to write what Kiffin said. Say, hey, he was asked about it, and this is what he said. And as a fan, if you want to take that answer and go, I think that's bullshit, that's up to you. That's cool. I get it. If you want to take that answer and go, I just don't understand it, I'm cool with that too. But what happened a little bit, not much. It wasn't a big deal. But people would come back and go, you guys aren't asking the question. And like, yeah, we just did. It's right there. And so at the end of the year, after the Florida game, when someone comes in and just starts grilling Lane Kiffin about it, it was like, everybody's like, oh, finally, someone asked the question. I'm like, that's bullshit. People have been asking the question for weeks now. We've been asking him about Lane Kiffin. I mean, about Ulysses Bentley. We've been asking routinely.
My thing was more so on. It felt like I guess Lane was lying or keeping something. Like I don't know. I guess if you call omission lying, if you want, like, if that's what people saying, if you're one of those people, then I guess that's what you're saying. That's what I'm saying Lane was doing. But as fans, I'm not gonna lie. The way we think, like, you guys are connected to the university and stuff, we think y'all are like the FBI. Like, okay, he didn't say it on the podium, but I've got these backup connections that can yada yada. You know, work this angle, get to him, and then we can get to the truth. That's what we as fans, I know me, as following you guys, that's what I was like. I was like, man, look, I know they're not going to take this Lane, whatever Lane's saying, you know, for base value. But, I mean, and with you saying, look, we don't go to practice, the Florida State media, they have been using that excuse to their fans because they've been asking the fans have been asking FSU media what do they think. They was like, y'all, we're not going to practice this year.
Well, and so, you know, and I will say this, that, you know, like when you back in the day, like I can remember when I covered Auburn years and years ago, in the first few years that I covered Ole Miss, I mean, you saw a lot of practice. You had a much better feel for, like, you know, what a team was like and maybe some strengths, maybe some weaknesses. You just had a better feel for it. Now, what we see, even in preseason camp, is so limited. And, you know, it's much harder to make real observations. And you can pick some people's brains around the program, but a lot of these programs are pretty locked down from a league standpoint. I mean, we'll hear things, and if somebody gets hurt, we're going to hear about it and stuff like that. But, you know, I guess what I meant when I said that was, and sometimes I think Lane did try to sort of give the answer without throwing everybody completely under the bus. I don't think it's a secret that he did not like his offensive line last year. And they were trying to sort of, I think, what's the word? Kind of little smoke and mirrors sometimes with what they were doing offensively to get just enough running game to free up the passing game. And there was some running game. There were some nights where Jackson Dart ran the football a lot. And, you know, I don't think that was something that he was super comfortable with. I think he wanted to be able to run the ball better than they did. And they just struggled to establish that between the tackles running game. I think they hoped that Logan Diggs would be back faster than he was, and it just didn't happen because ACL injuries are difficult to predict recovery. And you know, I don't know whether there was something off the field with Bentley. I don't think there was. I never heard that. But, you know, it became this story that was just nonstop with people obsessed with it. And, you know, they knew they had to win that game at Florida. And so they weren't playing mind games with putting Micah Davis there. They clearly believed that he was going to be able to give them something in the running game that Ulysses Bentley couldn't give them. Now, that doesn't, because they make a decision, as you know, doesn't mean that it's the right decision. But it was their decision. I mean, the one thing I can tell you about Lane Kiffin is that guy does not like to lose. He's not a particularly good loser. And so
you can tell that in his press conferences.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't. He's super competitive, and he hates losing. He's just doesn't always handle losing all that well, really, which is a good thing, I think. But he didn't. My point is he didn't go into those games going, "Hey, I know Bentley's the best back we've got, but I'm not playing him because XYZ." I just don't believe that. I think they didn't play him because they thought at different times other people gave them a better chance at success. It doesn't mean that they were right, but I do think that's what they thought.
I understand. And see, it's hard for me to put in, like, to explain what I was just watching. Like, you know, like when you watch Bentley, like maybe he wasn't the guy. See, I don't want to use it in that terms, but it just seemed like whenever you just needed something to just boom, like when you just needed something like a big play or something, he out of all the options was going to be the guy capable. But like, you know, that's here and there.
And for the record, I agree with you, you know, but like I didn't feel qualified. I mean, no one's paying
to overrule his opinion, and I get that because he's a coach. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
you can't come at a guy that coaching for the Raiders.
Yeah.
Say, look, I think you're playing the wrong running back.
Yeah. I mean, here's this guy that's getting paid $9 million to coach a football team, and he's pretty damn good at it. And I mean, I once, when I was in high school, coached, I can't remember if it was the red team or the white team in a powder puff game during our open date in my senior year, and my team won. So I am 1-0 as a football head coach, but I don't think that qualifies me to say, oh no, you're playing the wrong running back. I don't. You know, there are people in my field that do a lot of that stuff. It's why I never do the X and O stuff. I'll do the show with Pete, and I'll let Pete do X and O stuff. And if Tyler wants to do X and O stuff, I let him do it. I don't do it because I'm not qualified to do it. Like I think it's important that you have to stay in your lane. And so that's what I did. And we asked about it. He gave an answer. And if the answer wasn't satisfactory, that's fine. But, you know, I wasn't going to be the guy that goes, Lane, you're lying. Because I couldn't prove that he was lying. I don't know. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's all I could do is ask the question and report the answer.
Yeah. And look, it got to a point to where that's what I realized. I was like, at the end of the day, you can't, you know, the man that's credentialed in all this, you can't come and question him, because if he was to come and question your, you know, 10 weekend thoughts,
yeah,
you'd be like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'd be like if he came in and said, I could write that better, I'd say, well, go for it, you know? And I mean, if I were to walk in and go, you're playing the wrong running back, and he said, well, show me why, I wouldn't be able to. So I don't. I mean, I try to, I'll give myself that. I think I do a pretty good job of staying in my lane as it pertains to covering teams. It'd be like me and Chris Beard, right? I mean, Chris Beard's a basketball genius. I watch a lot of basketball, grind. I mean, I'm sitting here, I got Summer League on in my office right now. It'd be like me going, nah, Chris, you don't know basketball the way I know basketball. Can you imagine? I mean, that would be ludicrous. I mean, he would look at me like, you are absolutely out of your mind. But it'd be the same thing if he said, you know, I think I could report and write better than you. I'd be like, go for it. I don't think you can. No way, right? And so I think that's an important part of that relationship. And so I'm just not going to be the guy that does a lot of questioning of coaches. Like even on like fourth down decisions and stuff, instead of me writing a column that goes, that was wrong, I'd rather say, hey, there was a play in the third quarter, 4th and 2 that you went for it. What was your thinking there? What was the decision-making process? And then write about what he was thinking, because obviously everybody has hindsight, right? If it works, oh, he's a genius. If it doesn't work, oh, he's an idiot. To me, that's too simple. I'd rather dive into the decision-making process of it. And then maybe even, hey, looking back, do you wish you had done something different? Or is that still something you would do? Whatever. I'd rather write and report that way than do the whole, oh, he's an idiot. It didn't work. I always go back to this one play that I remember vividly from 2023, I think. Ole Miss was at home against Arkansas. It was the game that Jackson Dart got hurt. He kept playing, but he was clearly hurt. And Ole Miss had like a 5-point lead, and maybe it's more than that. Arkansas drove down the field, scored, and took the lead. This was early fourth quarter, like 12 minutes left, and Ole Miss got it back, and it was 4th and 1 at the Ole Miss 34. And they went for it. They put, if I remember correctly, they put Quinshon Judkins in kind of a like a pistol set where he took the snap, and the snap was a little low. He picked it up, got the first down. Ole Miss ended up driving down the field and scoring a touchdown. I thought that was a huge play, not only in the game but in the season, because like if you don't convert that run right there, let's say Arkansas makes a stop, right? It's Arkansas's ball with the lead and momentum in the fourth quarter at the Ole Miss 34, 33-yard line.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember that? I mean, let's just say that
was some ballsy stuff. I remember watching the game. I was like,
that was a big moment. Yeah, it was a huge moment. Yeah, because if you don't get it and then they score again, they're up 10. And I mean, that would have been a colossal loss to lose to that Arkansas team at home. You know, that would have been curtains on that team that ultimately went on to win a bunch of games. You know, that's. So to me, it's like I think I remember writing about that, like, hey, what was inside that decision? And it was just him going, I just felt like we couldn't give the ball back to them right there. We needed a first down. We needed to score. And to me, that's the part of reporting that is better than the, you know, writing that, hey, it was a terrible decision or whatever. Because to me, a lot of times that type of writing feels emotional. And I think I pride myself on trying to not be an emotional writer.
Yeah, no, this is my last. I hate this was a bad decision, good decision, because I feel like 99% of the people only judge the outcome, and so that's why I hate that. How does it feel to be a champion, though, man? Come on, man.
Oh man,
you hear it in your voice, in your chest.
It was so exciting. It was that whole night was so cool. You know, that whole weekend was wild because the Thunder lost Game 6 in Indianapolis, got blown out on that Thursday night. And we had to go to Ruston, Louisiana on Friday for a wedding. And so, you know, we drove on Friday, and on the way down, I told Laura was turning the radio on to stuff, and Carson and I were like not in very good moods, and she was like, what's wrong with y'all? And it was, I finally said, I think both of us were really hoping to listen to podcasts today celebrating a championship, and instead we were kind of concerned because I mean OKC got their ass kicked in Indianapolis that night. And so they
wasn't finna lose Game 7.
Yeah,
though, man.
I don't know, man. You know that you get to one game and you never know, and you know they looked so out of sorts in Game 6. And Rick Carlisle is such a good coach, man. He's so good. The adjustments he made from game to game, and I thought Daignault did too, but the adjustments that Carlisle made were phenomenal. And I was just kind of, it was lingered in the back of your mind on Friday. On Saturday, even we were at a wedding and it was family time and it was a lot of fun, and it was always kind of in the back of your mind that, oh man, Game 7 is, because I remember waking up on Sunday going, oh jeez, and I was worried. I was pretty stressed about it, and the Halliburton injury happened, and I thought in the moment that hurt the Thunder more than it hurt the Pacers, because the Thunder completely, you could tell it just took the steam out of the building.
Yeah.
But then that third quarter was fun when you could tell that the defense was impacting Indiana and that it was about to go the way it went. And yeah, we had a lot of fun. I mean, we were
Halliburton injury, I had to get over that as a fan, because I was like that made. I can't remember how long, how sad I was for how long, but I was just like, dang.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean,
well, in that moment, I saw it happen, and it's funny how two different people watching the exact same screen in the exact same room. Carson was excited about the transition bucket on the other end. He didn't see it happen, and as that went in, I went, he tore his Achilles. And Carson went, who? And he said, who? And I said, Hallie. And he's like, no, he didn't. And then sure enough, the camera panned to him and he's banging on the court. And like Carson got really sad about it. He was like emotional. He was angry about it. Like he did not want him to get hurt. Like that was, that series was so fun and so competitive that by the end of it, you really respected both teams, and you didn't want it to end that way. But sports, I say it, sports are fickle, and they're
very much like life. They're very much like life. It hangs on the thread. I mean, because Halliburton was going hot. I want to say he had just hit 2 threes in a row.
He'd hit 3. He already had 9 points. He'd hit that deep bucket.
He was warming up.
Yeah, he was. But he wasn't moving well. And I remember watching him in Game 6 going, he's not moving well. They just didn't get challenged that night because OKC was so bad. But on that game, I was like, he's not moving well. And it was funny. Kendrick Perkins talked about it on ESPN, and he had said before Game 6 that if he were Indiana, he would sit Hallie, and you can't because it's this moment that this guy's trained for his whole life. But man, when you have a calf strain, and he had a grade 2 calf strain, you are risking your Achilles. You are, and everyone knows it. That's why when he went down, he knew what it was. There wasn't a doubt in his mind what it was. I mean, it was just, and he's going to miss a whole season. That sucks because he's a great player.
Yeah,
I have so much respect for that guy. He had a phenomenal playoffs.
I have to give him his credit.
Oh, he had a phenomenal. He had a phenomenal playoffs.
Yeah, I do. I have to give him his credit. Would you? Quick question: Allen Iverson above Steph Curry?
Ooh. No, I think I'd go Steph.
Oh no!
I mean, it's different players with different styles, but Steph's impact on the game is amazing, man. I mean, Iverson's was too, but like Steph completely changed the offensive game. His ability off ball to impact opposing defenses in his prime was incredible.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay.
I mean, they're both great. I mean, it's like doing the LeBron, Michael Jordan, Kobe thing. I mean, you're getting into like layers here. You're not. It's because you're not saying that the guy you don't pick sucks. Like, no, you're not saying that. It's just, I don't. To me, those are fun debates because there's no right answer.
Yeah. And so that's why I just put that in there. I had that debate. New guy that we just hired. This boy is a Warriors fan to the death, and I'm like, man, and he's a LeBron hater too. So I'm like, shit, I don't know if you're gonna make it, son. You know what I'm saying? Like, boy,
Hey, I don't know if you listen to it.
Stuff,
I don't know if you listen to it, but the LeBron James, Steve Nash, Kevin Durant podcast on what's the name of that show? Let me find it. It was phenomenal. If you like basketball, it was just fantastic. It's the one where they
definitely have to get that.
It's the one where they open up the wine.
Look.
They open up the wine and oh, here it is. Mind the Game. It was Steve Nash, LeBron James.
Mind the Game.
Mind the Game. It was Steve Nash, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant. It was fantastic. It was really, really good.
See, man, between like you guys and making sure I keep up with my sports podcast and then keeping up with political stuff, I've just been and you know I'm happy you have the Josh show because like I told you, man, it's like I don't even know what's in the goddamn BBB. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. I mean, if it seems as if certain people want you to fearmonger about this thing, and then you know you have I don't and then I mean it just got like Republicans from the people that I've just been seeing on the news it's just hey it just got passed. It's a great thing, but then when you hear like Hakeem Jeffries like do some 9-hour speech, it's like, man, so like what is the truth? And then like I told y'all, I don't expect to get anything from a broadcasting media. Like only thing I'm gonna trust is to sit down and read like a BBC article or something. But man, shit, I'm swamped to the gills, man. Like so I'm trying to, catch the little my political news as I can, but shit, dude, excuse my language.
I was at the beach. I checked out. I didn't keep up at all. I completely disconnected. I didn't keep up with anything. I mean, I at one point I thought, hey, I'll take this week and I'll kind of read up on some college teams, read up on some pro teams. And I was like, nope, no sports. And I completely checked out. It's gone.
Man,
it was great.
It's an exercise. I'm not sure if you would be interested in not. Maybe you would find it cool, but I think it would be interesting if you did a quick storyline on what the storyline would be for each school if the SEC order of finish ended up being the order in which teams arrived at media days. So who's ever first finished first, who's ever second finishes second, and so forth and so on, and what would be the storyline about those programs at the end of the season. I kind of figured
that'd be funny. That'd be good news for Ole Miss. That'd be the end for Hugh Freeze. Who goes? It would be bad news for Mike Elko because they go on the fourth day. That would be Eli Drinkwitz badly underachieving, and it would be about what you'd expect for Sam Pittman and Stoops because Arkansas and Kentucky go on the last day too. It would be
what day does Alabama go?
Day 3, I think. When does Auburn go? Look, Auburn go day 2?
Yeah, Auburn goes day 2.
I think Bama goes day 3. That would tell you Texas fell apart.
Man, look, I get banking on Bama because it's it's so comfortable and it's like muscle memory to this point. But man, I don't know.
I think it's just benefit of the doubt still. I mean they had so much success for so long that you got to see it's almost like the opposite of a team that's got to win to prove it. With Bama, they've got to lose to justify you abandoning them.
I'm going to ask you this. If Nick Saban would have coached Alabama last year, would they have lost 4 games?
I mean, his teams never did.
Never 4 games?
I mean, they just didn't.
Jokes I hear about 4 losses. You know what I mean? What I mean? 4 loss jokes Bama fans make about Gus Malzahn, and he did that off the bat with. I mean, I know Caleb Downs and left, but you still had the offensive lineman come back. You still had a pretty good squad.
I think people are giving Bama a lot of benefit of the doubt, and then for whatever reason, I think, and I know people are going to hate me for this, I think people are sleeping on LSU.
I am too. I think LSU wins the SEC.
I mean, I think there's a.
I think LSU gonna be fly. I think they're going to be fly this year.
Yeah, I think there's a world where they're the best team in the league, and I don't know. Maybe and if I'm dead wrong, I'm dead wrong. The one thing I'm not doing this year, I'm not doing any of the Texas A&M crap. I don't care. I don't care what they throw at me. I'm not listening to it. Nope. I'm out. Nope. I mean, I'm telling you, man, the football gods could drop in here right now and go, Neal, Texas A&M goes 11-1. I'd be like, man, y'all get the hell out of here. Nope, not doing it. Not doing it. Nope.
I don't have anything on them winning the SEC, but I do have I fit the buffer for them making the playoffs. Just because, I don't know, man. It's year 2 of Elko. If he doesn't do it this year, then because they say year 2 is the year that you always can tell if a coach is going to be good or not, successful or not, which is why I worry about Freeze. But if this ain't it for Elko, I mean, because there's no excuses at A&M. You have the money. I know you're a little weird and whatnot, but there's no excuses. I'm gonna ask you this.
Agree completely. No, there is absolutely no excuse to not win at Texas A&M in this environment. No doubt.
None.
Yep.
None. Okay, I'm gonna ask you this question. I'm gonna just hang up and just hear what you say.
Okay.
Auburn is currently a 2.5-point favorite at Baylor. Alabama is currently a 14-point favorite at Florida State.
Okay.
You can only take one team to cover. Who are you taking? And I appreciate you taking my call, man. You enjoy your weekend and have a blessing.
Same to you. Thank you, Grind. Oh, wow. That's a good one. I can't believe I'm answering it this way. Honestly, I think I would take Auburn and lay the 2.5 before I took Bama and laid the 14. 14's a lot of points, and Bama's doing that weird thing with the quarterback deal, and I don't know what Florida State's going to be, but surely they're going to be a more focused team this time around. Look, if Auburn loses at Baylor, that thing's in trouble right off the bat. Right off the jump. And I'm trying not to do one of my resolutions this year is not to do week 1 overreactions, because I think I did a couple of them last year and I was mad at myself all season. So this year I'm going to try desperately not to do that. And so even if Auburn loses, Chase will get pissed off at this because he'll want us to bring out the shovels and start digging the hole. I'm going to try desperately not to do it. But that being said, the more I think about it, the more that is a huge game for Hugh Freeze and Auburn. That is a big game. That's a game that you got to win that game. If you're Hugh, you got to win that game. August the 29th. It's a long weekend if you don't. That's a big spot. So I think I'd go Auburn minus the 2.5. I wouldn't feel super about it. I wouldn't be spending my hypothetical winnings ahead of time. But I think that's the route I would go. Alabama's confident, but the only thing about that is that Alabama's always confident. I don't know that means a lot. When I hear people going, hey, man, there's a lot of optimism in Tuscaloosa, I'm like, when was the last time there wasn't optimism in Tuscaloosa? I don't know what that really means to me. I tend to pay more attention to stuff like that when I hear hey, there's a lot more optimism in Norman than there was a year ago. That I kind of pay a little attention to that. Maybe they feel like they've addressed some things. But when I hear Alabama feels optimistic, I'm just like, yeah, the sun rose in the east and set in the west, and cool. Doesn't mean much to me, if that makes any sense. Yeah, right. Regular size Ben says breaking Neal as an atheist shoes away the football gods. Yeah, when it comes to A&M, man, I'd shoo them away. If they came in here and dropped in and told me that, I don't know, pick a weird story, Vanderbilt wins 8 games, I'd go, okay, well, crazy, but okay. But I'm not doing the A&M thing. I've been burned 3 years in a row on Texas A&M stuff, and I just no. I'm not going there. I'm trying to decide. I'm not going to Atlanta, which feels weird. I'm trying to decide where. I probably will write it in 10 thoughts this week where I would put Ole Miss if I were doing a ballot. I think right now, I think 5th is where I'd put them, which might be one spot high. Maybe it's a spot low, which maybe that tells me I'm about in the right spot. I think it's Texas, Georgia, LSU. I'm going to give Alabama the benefit of the doubt because they've earned it. But I don't feel super about that part. And then I kind of wonder about Florida, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee. Tyler's really high on Auburn. I'm not, but maybe I'm underestimating what they can do. And then I think there's clearly a next group. And then at the end, I think it's Mississippi State at 16, Kentucky and Arkansas somewhere 14, 15, depending on how you want to put that. And then you're probably talking about like Vanderbilt in the 12, 13 range, that type of thing. Pretty damn good league when you start to look at it and try to figure out where to put people and how you do it, how you justify it. Like, where do you put Texas A&M? Honestly, where do you put them? Because suddenly if you just keep putting teams in, suddenly you look up and you have Texas A&M at 10 or 11 and you're like, that's too low. So it's a pretty loaded league. I mean, there's a world where the 11th, 12th place team, as we saw a year ago, right, where Kentucky beat Ole Miss, Arkansas beat Tennessee, Vanderbilt beat Alabama, Oklahoma beat Alabama. I mean, we saw that a year ago. I think you're going to see more of that type of thing this year, which is why if you're doing over-unders on teams, usually unders your better bet, especially if you think that the over-under is about right, because it's easy to blow a game or two that you should win in this league. And yeah, Grind, if you're referring to Auburn and Oklahoma, I agree with you. I think that game, because it's September the 20th, I think that game has swing written all over it. I mean, that feels like you said, 2 wins for the winner and 2 losses for the loser. It feels like a massively big game. All right, I'm probably going to wrap this up here. I'll be back with this again next Thursday. My plan is to kind of get rolling. I'm basically through traveling unless something unforeseen happens until Carson goes off to school. So I've got that weekend when we'll get him moved in and stuff. But other than that, I'm here and basically through traveling for the summer. So we'll start doing these shows and get back into it. And I'll drag Chase in here at some point in the next few weeks as well. Appreciate everybody participating, all the calls. Appreciate you guys a bunch. And don't forget, we've been brought to you by our friends at Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. The names are right there. Eric and the people at Comer and Southern, they do phenomenal work. They'll take great care of you. Customer service is off the charts. Great people. If you have a problem on a weekend, night, you can get in touch with those guys. Yeah, you got to pay a little extra, but it's worth it. They'll get you taken care of, and they'll do phenomenal work, and you'll be really glad that you had them at your disposal. So that does it for this week of podcast at MPW Digital. A lot of stuff up today. McCready and Siskey, Blue Sky Live, Mind on My Money. So a lot of podcasts to listen to if you're getting through the weekend, and we'll be back next week. Chase is going to be heading to Atlanta on Sunday. We kind of talked about doing a live stream on Sunday, late afternoon, early evening, in lieu of Monday morning, because he'll be so busy Monday morning with the start of media days. So we'll let you know about that. We'll get that information to you ahead of time. But we'll have a week of podcast at MPW Digital starting next week at some point, Sunday or Monday. Until then, again, thanks to everybody. Appreciate it. Take care.